There are times when undertaking the most basic jobs here in Beijing is guaranteed to give your favourite podcaster a good laugh, and certainly makes one stop and reflect on things that are normally taken for granted back in Blighty. Just this week, for instance, I had to top up my supplies of medication, for if the truth be known, my blood pressure shoots through the roof if I don't pop 3 pills each morning. Now, back in the UK, one just drops a copy of one's prescription into the doctor's surgery, returning a short while later to pick up a signed version of it, and toddle off to the pharmacy to pick up the pills. Not in China. Here, you have to see the doctor each time you want a prescription renewed, and that usually means going to the local hospital. The one nearest my place of work is the China-Japan Friendship Hospital, popularly known to the locals as Zhonghui Yuan. It's been ranked among the top 10 hospitals in Beijing and as one of the top 100 hospitals in China. And it's even been rated the best hospital for foreigners in Beijing by the Association for Foreigners, whoever they are. Wow. I normally half expect to see the place filled with the walking wounded whenever I visit. The area is filled with Beijing's notorious taxi drivers, after all, who seem to take it as a matter of course to aim at the nearest thing they can find on 2 legs and accelerate directly in that direction. But the only blue lights I can see flashing today are on an ambulance whose crew are about to rush inside, presumably for their tea break. Zhonghui Yuan is well proud of its reputation and even denotes an entire wall showing off some of its awards to the passing millions who give not even a single glance in this direction. Mind you, that could perhaps be due to the fact that there are so many signs everywhere, resulting in the average visitor soon getting sign fatigue. But you have to give them credit for making it easy to find virtually anything in this medical utopia. Want an infection? Go to the infection department. You'll find it near Great Number 9, which is the other side of the campus from Great Number 2, through which I came. If you want to relax or work out where you can leave your car, then you are directed to the Lawn Pardon parking lot. And you can't accuse them of not having put in a lot of thought to the positioning of the various buildings. Want the morgue? Look no further than waste and sewage disposal, situated slap bang next to the boiler room. A touch of genius, I reckon. Today, however, I'm not yet in need of the morgue, and instead follow signs to the international department. It being mid-morning, the corridors are crowded out, not least with the locals dining out in style, along with some nurses and doctors and a few walking wounded, who all know you can get some good cheap nourishing chow by queuing up for what passes as a makeshift canteen in the principal aisle. You can always tell who are the doctors, who are the patients, and who are the visitors. The doctors, after all, wear white coats, while the patients walk around like extras from a film set of Schindler's List. Almost everyone else is a hanger-on. But enough of the hospital and back to my story. I approach the reception and ask if I can see a doctor to renew my prescription. You hai bat na quoi? I'm asked by a girl who has obviously landed the job for her international language skills. I beg your pardon, I reply sheepishly, not having quite caught the gist of her question. You hai bat na quoi? Yes? A more senior receptionist intervenes. You hypertension? She asks, after taking my file from the aforementioned lass. Stupid me. Yes, that's me, I reply, handing over my hospital ID card for it to be swiped by the barcode reader. You go first, cashier, pay 100 kuai, then come back, I'm ordered. In China, they like to see the colour of your money before parting with any services. I do as I'm bidden. I get a slip of paper to wave at the receptionist, who tells me to go round to the nurse station and try my luck there. Though there are crowds thronging the area, this Lao Wai is for some reason waved to the front of the queue, and soon I've been allocated to a pretty young doctor who asks me to follow her to the consulting room. Now in the UK, they say that you start feeling old when you think the policemen look young. I think the same could be said of doctors. This doctor looks like she's hardly out of high school, but I guess she knows my age anyway, having quickly looked through my file that was placed in her charge as I was handed over to her. I follow her down the corridor, but alas, the consulting room is busy. Oh dear. Maybe this room over here is... Oh no. Okay, let's try... No, that's busy too. We wander up and down the corridors of the hospital looking for a free room, but everyone is in use. My poor doctor is getting more flustered by the minute. Some 15 minutes later, she tries the stomatology department. That's the dentist to you and me. It's free. We pile inside, and I'm invited to sit in the dentist chair, while she sits on the accompanying stool. This has to be a first for me, getting a prescription sorted out, expecting any minute to be asked to open wide. But instead, the door bursts open, and the actual dentist, who's returning to what he presumes is an empty office, marches in, unzipping his flies as he does so, while heading for the private loo on the other side of the room. He stops short, does a double take, realizes this is his office after all, nods cursorily to the doctor while zipping himself up again, and heads for the loo again, from where there soon emanate the sounds of a dentist seeking relief from a very full bladder. My doctor carries on as if nothing has happened. It's obviously par for the course in this award-winning sanatorium. Despite having me clearly told on the last occasion I was here that patients can only get a 3-month prescription supply, I decide to chance my luck and ask if I can have 6 months' worth of pills. Maybe it's because she's still flustered from having walked me around in circles previously, or perhaps she's still very green about the gills. But she punches in 6 months to the computer, and out comes my prescription, no questions asked. I thank her profusely as we head out into the crowded corridors once more, leaving the dentist to enjoy a belated spot of privacy. I look at the prescription and realize that I'm going to have to part with over 4,200 of the Reddies, something I had not expected, having never thought for one moment I would get away with a request for so many pills. So instead of making for the pharmacy, I walk back along the corridor-cum-canteen and out again into the sunshine, determining that I will return later during my dinner break. Now, one major problem in China is that because of fears over forgery, the largest banknotes they have here are only 100 yuan. That's about £10. I carefully count out 43 of the said notes and stuff them into a large pocket before retracing my steps from the morning. I head for the pharmacy department, which is slap bang next to the cashier's. In complete contrast to this morning, the corridors are empty. No doubt the lack of portable canteen facilities is one of the reasons for this. I wave my prescription at the pharmacist, who makes the Chinese equivalent of tisk-tisk and points me in the direction of the cashier. Ka-ching! I count up my pile of banknotes, which the cashier places into the obligatory note counter to make sure there are no duds in there, and I get another receipt complete with red chop mark, which I take back to the pharmacist. He takes one look at the prescription, and a shadow falls across his face. "没有, 不是二吗? 没有," he splutters, which for those of you whose Mandarin is not quite up to it, roughly translates as, "No, 52, no way." It appears the poor guy is incensed that I am about to deplete his stock of drugs. You see, in China, most drugs are sold in week-long packets of 7 pills. One of my pills is only half the required strength, so I need 2 packets per week. Hence, 6 months' supply equates to 52 packets of one particular drug. I also need 26 packs of another and 13 of yet another, which comes in handy fortnightly refills. That's 91 boxes all told. Perhaps it's as well that I cannot understand more of this fellow's invective. His face is going bright red, and he shouts over to the nurse's station for someone to explain to this Lawai that he's being asked the impossible. Another pretty young doctor comes over at this moment. Golly, 2 pretty young doctors in one day, what a hospital! And gets into conversation with a red-faced little man. I ask if there's a problem, but am ignored by both of them until eventually I'm asked to go and sit down over there. The nurse is summoned over, given a load of instructions, and all but runs off down the corridor. The doctor comes over to me and asks if I would mind waiting a few minutes while they get in some more supplies, and then strides off to greet another patient leaving the area and me, totally isolated. I watch the tank of guramis across the way for a few minutes, but eventually come to the conclusion that this is going to be a long wait. I take out my newish iPhone and start a new round of Candy Crush, managing to reach 4 new levels before the nurse returns, weighed down by a plastic bag bursting at the seams from little boxes of pills. The pharmacist is nowhere to be seen as she hands over my piles of boxes to me. Luckily, I found out last time I was here that you're expected to bring your own bags with you. You certainly won't be helped out by someone offering you a plastic bag. I stuff the boxes into 2 shopping bags and stagger off, discovering that outside night has finally fallen in the interim. I pass the hospital shop near Grate 3, but as I don't need any cigarettes or Coca-Cola, I make my way straight home. I'm now the proud owner of what looks like a lifetime supply of medication, pondering on my next challenge, getting my employer to cough up 90% of the bill.